evening. If you've just joined us, you've missed out on hearing from Sean Hannon talking about indoor cricket, although that's not the last of the indoor cricket that we're going to be talking this evening. We caught up with Becky Nuttall, the new Chief Operating Officer at the Oggy Bridge Meadow Stadium. And there was also this Cymru Sports Update, which didn't happen. So apologies for that if you wanted that sports roundup. But we're going to keep it very much local now. I'm joined in the studio by Fraser Watson. Good evening.
Tom, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Here we are again, which puts a big smile on my face talking all things sport. How was your sporting week and weekend?
Well, it was a working one, actually. Worked on the weekend, which I was confined at home whilst the Six Nations was on. I have to say, 3 gripping games. A great weekend for the Championship. And a game of 2 halves. Never has that cliche been more appropriate, is it, than what happened in Cardiff?
It reminded me of an early noughties Wales trip out, and you think, oh look, they're going to do it again. Then coming within an inch in that final thing. Well, we're going to discuss the rugby in a bit more detail later on, aren't we? And also, we're going to be joined by Ben Field, who, Pembrokeshire sports people will be aware of Ben with his work with Sport Pembrokeshire, but he's gone on to a national role with the FAW, looking at grassroots. So very much looking forward to chatting with Ben in about 10 minutes. And if you've got any questions for Ben, if you want to get involved with the show this evening, then please do. Stephen Price already on the YouTube. He's saying evening, lads. And in fact, let's give Fraser a fighting chance here. Let's put that up there for him. There you go. Evening, lads, from Stephen Price. And we're actually going to stay with football and we're going to look at what's happened over the weekend with Chris O'Sullivan. I knew there was another one in there. The mind went blank because just one of the managers who probably had a sore head on Sunday.
Absolutely. A great day, actually, for Pembrokeshire side in the West Wales Cup last 16. We had 2 all Pembrokeshire ties, of course, didn't we? Merlins Bridge winning 2-0 at Fishguard. Milford hammering Tish 6-0. They've both gone through. Goodwick winning 1-0 at Roxburgh. So the statement win that, of course. And Kilgetty at Brincourt coming through on penalties. I think 8-7 in the end. It was listed a last-minute equaliser for them as well. And we were close to a 5th team going through, actually. Care only losing 2-1 at Seaside.
Wow.
It's a significant amount. And I think Sully said it in the first hour there, and I agree with him. I think they're in the past have been a bit of a psychological barrier in that tournament. It was seen as the Holy Grail. Away trips were viewed as intimidating. Very few Pembrokeshire sides went long away and won. But that's not happening now. It's a much more level playing field. I think that psychological barrier is gone. We've seen in the last 11 years, we've seen Johnston win that tournament. We've seen Goodwick win it twice. We've seen Merlins Bridge win it. We've seen Carew reach a final. We've seen Hakin reach a final. You know, it's a trophy that's there for the taking, really, for Pembrokeshire sides now. And I really hope that the 4 can maybe avoid each other in the quarterfinals, or one tie would be good to see one sneak through at least.
That would be good. And that psychological barrier, you just listed off so many clubs there, and that's all in fairly recent memory.
That's right, yeah.
You think that we're so disconnected down here on the West End of Wales, and you don't really get to compare the sides often. Division 1's always seen as this 2-horse race, and yet put us with these West Wales Premier sides, put us with the other divisions. And are we punching above our weight, or are we just in the right division?
No, I think we're in the right division. I don't think it's a case of punching above our weight. I think it's more a case of a realisation that there is nothing to fear, like you say. And these other leagues, Swansea, Leeds, Carmarthen, Neath, obviously do have very good sides, but the standard between them and Pembrokeshire isn't, realistically any get better. And if you are, even being based in Swansea, you think you've got a championship club there, or previously a Premiership club as well. But I guess any players who good for that system would already have been snapped up by that, or perhaps a higher level or Welsh League level. So no, there really is no difference between our leagues and the rest. And good to see teams recognising that now, and not maybe paying too much respect to sides with big reputations that come down, or when they go away. That's the important thing, winning away in that competition. We've started doing that regularly, and that's massive.
Yeah, and what's great to see is the names of the clubs are different. You've like Kilgetty had a great cup run in the senior cup, but
absolutely.
But Milford, who we had Andrew on last week,
right,
and it's great to see them flying that flag as well.
Great win, yeah, and semi-finals at neutral venues. So they tend to use a Bridge Meadow if there's 2 Pembrokeshire sides involved. Actually, the Steven Heath been used in the past. These clubs are all just 1 win away now, and like I said, you could have a scenario, for example, where you could have Kilgetty or Milford United drawing each other in the quarter-final. I couldn't tell you the last time one of them was in a West Wales Cup semi-final. So, yeah, all for it, and I hope we have a Pembrokeshire team at the Swansea.com again.
fingers crossed. It's looking promising. But as Jason Chapman's saying, evening all, West Wales is also the luck of the draw. But great to see so many Pens teams left. And yes, it can happen. You have the tie, and all of a sudden you have all that representation. It can all go in one fell swoop. But they must be buoyed by the confidence that it's not just one flag bearer. It's like they're all on their own merit.
Absolutely, it's a good point. And look, it's there's certain competitions that do take a lot of time and travel in sport locally, but they are worth the effort. It's worth an appearance at the Swansea.com Stadium. It's a once in a lifetime for many of those players. It has been a once in a lifetime, and some local players have been lucky enough to do it twice as well in recent years, and that's iconic for them as well. But the same applies to rugby, Tom. You look at these WRU bowl competitions and things like that. The extortionate travel, they require big commitment. It's worth it. There's a place at the Principality Stadium at the end of it, and it's good to see Pembrokeshire sides committing fully to this.
It is fantastic.
And Jason, by the way, he has to travel to Fishguard.
But it does make that like it's worth the effort in this cup and a nice cup run, and you get to go to the big stadium at the end of it. Chris O'Sullivan was interviewed a couple of weeks ago, I think, when they qualified for this round by the team at Cymru Sports, and they were saying, "Why aren't you going into that West Wales League?" But they don't need to.
Yeah, it's an interesting point now to see how that develops. At the moment, I agree with you. I don't, you're not seeing these West Wales Cups particularly at a bigger standard than others. Whether over time, when it's given time to settle and form and become stronger, is going to be interesting to see. And I will note that with interest if any Pembrokeshire clubs, I suppose, don't mean to keep look at going over the total names. You take Goodwick and Haken, maybe in terms of recent success, Merlins Bridge, probably very much got the infrastructure. Now, I don't know the regulations for that league exactly. I think there are certain ones to enter it in terms of your pitch and perhaps your spectator viewing area and everything. But you're right, at the moment, they wouldn't consider the West Wales clubs above our clubs in any shape or form. But once given time to maybe develop and strengthen, it'd be interesting to see if it does become this kind of elite league, and if any of those do go, because you just mentioned it there, it's going to take big commitment and big travel commitments as well. Yeah,
but of course, some of the players are prepared to do that. Chris O'Sullivan was talking there about some of the transfers that took place over the last couple of weeks.
Some are. Yeah. Sean Pemberton come back to Goodwick. You're right. There was an interesting one. But whether you can get collective units to do it is another question. I think it's what's often scuppered many players in Pembrokeshire who've not wanted to go to Haverford in the past. I think the thought of travelling, the extra time, and of course there is this notion as well that if the team goes into it and is going to be as competitive in it, people like competing for trophies locally. We've seen that, and look, I can't see it in the near future of Pembrokeshire side going into it. I think it'll be a huge upheaval, but when the test will come is if it does become a bit of an elite league, if the standard is raised, whether it gets to the point that you do have to go there to elevate your game. Once that feeling comes along, and that might tempt them. At the moment, I think you're right. I don't think there's anything in that league which is particularly better than our best sides.
Yeah, and of course, Goodwick are top of Division 1 at the moment. Haken are behind because
Scott Reed, Milford United going all the way.
So we got Chapman in there. We've got Stephen Price. We've got Scott Reed, all saying who's going to be going there. Let's have a look. So Jason Chapman, he's just come in again. Actually, Fishguard a long way away. West Wales League. It's about commitment, and that's most of the Saturday gone on away days. Finance is also an issue.
Yeah, two very good points. Two very good practical points. We said about the travel thing and commitment, and the financial outlook for all sports teams changed. It's affected the social side of sport. We know that, and he's right there about rising fuel costs and everything as well. There's a lot more complications to this than just football.
Yeah, well, we talked about this when the rugby was doing the knockout competition, and the cost of hiring a coach and getting to these places, it gets rid of any benefit of having people come into your club.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'd be very difficult for anyone to commit to at this stage, I'd say.
Yeah, and then looking, I'm going to stick with the football. We had Becky Nuttall on the show earlier on. If you missed any of the interviews from the first hour, you can listen back at purewestradio.com/catch-up. But looking at Sean Pemberton, looking at Haverford County, Phase 2, they were going in there with a lot of promise. Surprise defeat away at Aberystwyth?
Surprise defeat, it can happen at Aberystwyth. You have to praise Aberystwyth for that. They're the one club, I would say, who are just having a look at Haverford, checking something in there. They're the one club actually who are really able to race a game through a home atmosphere. They do a good job there of ramping up noise. On a Friday night, especially, it is like, again, sounding cliche, it's a difficult place to go. They've got a very much colloquial feel there. They've got a bit of an us against the world feel there. It's not a nice place to go, and you can see why teams do slip up there. But it is a poor start. There's no getting away from that. Haverfordwest, it's important now. They haven't got into this top six. That was the goal for them. They were vocal about that. And we all know that finishing 7th isn't the end of the world, because you can go into Europe from. They proved that last season. But they will want to finish 7th now. They'll say it'd be a wasted campaign would be an exaggeration, but they'll feel that they've missed out if they don't. They Pontypridd United at home next. You fully expect them to beat them. Pontypridd struggling and heading down to be relegated, but you can't afford to lose too many of these phase games. And actually now nervously looking at Penabon, who I believe have drawn level on points with them, or would be up for 3 points deduction.
A lot of people are surprised that Penabon ended up in the bottom half of that phase anyway. I know that we say it every week, but there really is not an easy game, and it's not the Pontypridd. They're not even your Airbus either. They're still fighting there. They have lost. Well, Corey Shepherd's come back.
And I've got mixed feelings on the format in this phase of playing all teams 4 times, but the format is what it is, and there's jeopardy in all these games now. We've said that before, because teams are fighting for something, and then teams below them are fighting for something. So there won't be any easy games. That is one of the benefits of it. You should get things going down to the wire, and they've had a disappointing start to it, and they'll want to pick up. Inconsistency has plagued them this season, or inconsistency, should I say? But they'll need to get it together now, certainly.
Yeah. Do you think that expectation of we failed in getting that 6th spot, we're having to do the same again, is that going to provide some lethargy to the squad, or do you think that
it shouldn't do?
No,
it shouldn't do. No.
They're not going to feel that pressure. They're going to be able to pick that up.
Yeah, absolutely. They shouldn't be playing in the Welsh League. They shouldn't be aiming for these things if they're not able to cope with expectation and pressure. These semi-professional footballers are now who've played in Europe. Don't forget, no, it should be exactly the opposite now. They should know that if anything, to salvage their season, really, they've got to be 7th. And they know the rewards that are on the end of that. So no, I wouldn't expect any kind of deflation from them.
And Becky was saying earlier, they're currently in licensing mode at the moment, getting ready for next season. Hopefully there won't be any problems, and there'll be no miscommunications about what's going on with the stand there. But they are back. It's their first home game of this phase 2 this Friday evening the lights. What were your thoughts of Gary Lineker's comments?
I think a mountain was made out of a molehill. I can understand that they may be ill-advised in that the term farmers is now roundly used to mock a league, isn't it? But look, it was an innocent joke about the player himself. It was a former farmer. I think there's way too much sensitivity in society now. It was blown all out of all proportion. Maybe in hindsight the reference wasn't the best, but totally ridiculous reaction.
What I can say is that I think Haverfordwest County have seen the funny side of it.
Yeah,
you might have seen some of their images on social media, and if you do make it down to the Oggy Bridge Meadow Stadium on Friday night, you're going to be in for a lovely surprise.
Right.
And I'm going to leave that there on our Facebook Live. So go down, support the boys. I don't have the fixtures in front of me. Fraser, off the top of your head, do you know who they've got on Friday?
Yeah, Pontypridd Town.
Of course, we did say it earlier.
Yeah, we did say, yeah.
Pontypridd. Corey Shepherd will be back after a little stint away. He's going to be back up against his former side already.
That's right. And Pontypridd are, obviously 11th and struggling, though, again, worth noting, as so many teams, they're on 16 points. They'd actually be on 22 if it wasn't for the 3 deductions. So maybe being a little harsh on them there, but it's a game they really need to be looking to win. And Friday night's good. I like the Friday night idea. I think it's very good. Pembrokeshire sides will play Saturday. They tend to get a bigger crowd. So
yeah,
we'll see if Gary Lineker turns up.
We'll put an invite out now. We've got Ben Field joining us on the show, Fraser. Well, tell us a little bit of an intro before we intro him good and proper. Who was he, and why are we catching up with him?
Yeah, well known in sporting circles, Ben. Sport Pembrokeshire manager, obviously, for so long, did some great work there within the county, and now since has moved on to his new role in the FAW. It sounds very interesting and a challenging time actually for youth sport. So it's going to be interesting to hear his take on football and numbers and some of the issues we've talked about there, actually, in the intake and so on. And obviously a Haverford cricketer as well, so we'll have a dig at him about that.
Also, top of my head, we had Scott Reed saying Milford United all going all the way. If I'm not mistaken, Milford looking for more female players for their team as well.
Right.
I've seen a poster circulating. So if you know anyone interested and wanting to give that a go, then get in touch with...
Yeah, interesting point that, because girls football, literally girls football, is being flourishing in Pembrokeshire. There's a lot more teams, there's leagues. It's the senior women's outlook, which still needs a lot of work and still needs more teams. So yeah, more the better. It'd be good to get that going again. It used to be competitive. Yeah,
it was amazing hearing how many teams they got through the age ranges last week. 250 registered players in one club. And Ridgeons beat me to it. I am going to mention it here. Evening, lads. Pembrokeshire retained their Welsh County Championship for the 11th consecutive time over the weekend. And he actually... don't worry, Ridgeon, I told the boys about it. What I haven't told them was the follow-up email, which was, we need to sort out our Pure West Sport night down with the short mat bowls. So we might mention that a little bit later on. We do need to get that in the diary.
Yeah, remarkable consistency and testament to commitment and quality. That's a great record.
I just don't want to bring them down. We are going to take a moment. Thank you so much for your comments. We are going to take a moment. Ben Field of the Football Association of Wales is joining us to talk about his new role. Is he 18 months, 12 months in now?
Around that, yeah.
Yeah, so he's definitely got his feet under the table. Don't go anywhere. If you do want to get involved, though, please do. We're live on Facebook. You can get us on the WhatsApp 01437 764455. And you can email studio@purewestradio.com. and use the PWR app. Andrew Evans is saying, game on, lads. So we'll see what we can do. We're going to take a moment and we'll be back after this.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors have